Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Rare Talk series, a series where individuals can talk about issues and situations within the rare disease space to help raise awareness for a specific disease. We try to speak to people who have the same condition but are at different life stages to help try and show the daily struggles of living with those conditions and to bring awareness. My name is Chelsea, and I'm the youth coordinator for Rare Youth Revolution, and I will be hosting the talk today. I'm here with Peyton and Aditya. Would you both like to introduce yourselves?
Sure, I can start. So hi everybody at the Rare Talks community. My name is Aditya. I'm a 27-year-old male and I was born with X-linked Ichthyosis.
Pretty similarly, I am Peyton. I am 12 years old and I was also born with X-linked Ichthyosis.
The first question I'll be asking you both today is how would you describe your condition to someone who maybe hasn't heard of it before, and how does it affect your daily life?
So X-linked Ichthyosis is a very big medical term for what basically presents as extremely dry skin. And so that basically covers the basis of having X-linked Ichthyosis and going through life with that. Part of managing the disease for me has been always to make sure that I'm adequately moisturized, especially during the winter months where the skin can get very irritated, flaky, and it plays a little bit into the pathogenesis of the disease where the skin has difficulty with shedding the upper layers of the skin epithelium. And so it kind of just keeps getting stuck on and building up over time. And so properly managing, moisturizing the skin, exfoliating whenever possible has been a part of my daily and weekly routines.
That makes sense. What about you, Peyton?
For me, it's very similar. Just the skin is very dry, and I personally have over the years have summarized it down to if I don't moisturize, my skin get itchy. I don't like that. If I don't moisturize, face for a very long time, my skin hurt a bit. I don't like that. Really, that's all I've summarized it down to.
Yeah, that also makes sense. So, would you guys just both say that just making sure that you guys are always moisturized, kind of make sure that, everything kind of soothes down the skin? Is that kind of how that works?
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
one thing growing up, oh yeah, go ahead, sorry.
no,
No, I was going to say that for me growing up, moisturizing was a big part of, like I said, managing the disease. But at the end of the day, a lot of the scaliness and the actual cracks and fissures in the skin, no matter how much you moisturize, I don't know, Peyton, if this is also the case for you, in winter months, it's still something that appears to the naked eye for people to see at. And so uh, basically, it's kind of something that we get asked questions a lot. And so we have to, like we're doing here, just be upfront and say it's actually not a contagious infection or anything like that. It's just something we were born with and we have to deal with ourselves.
Well, do you guys both have to use like a specific type of creams, or is, like stronger things to kind of make sure that that stays, okay for you guys? And as Peyton says, like not too itchy to the point that he doesn't like it.
Yeah, maybe you want to start this one?
yeah. Really, for me, most things haven't really worked. They haven't done much, or if they do anything at all, they're extremely expensive and ridiculous prices. But me and my mother have seen that Cetaphil lotion has worked pretty well over the years of my life, and basically, it's the only thing that isn't extremely expensive that has actually been able to temporarily just stop the itching or painfulness for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, that was similar for me too. So we went to many dermatologists growing up. We were prescribed lactic acid, salicylic acid, and urea creams. A lot of these are what they call exfoliants to help the skin shed more of the epithelial dead skin layers off at a quicker turnover rate. For me, those all have a very pungent odor. They are often, because of the acidity, they're difficult to put on. And if you have any cracks or fissures, they tend to sting and burn. And on top of that, uh, people have always recommended Vaseline type of oil, creams and emollients. Basically, these are very, very greasy, stick to your clothing, were very uncomfortable for me as a child to adhere to. We found now that like, yeah, Cetaphil, Eucerin, and like what I use particularly is like the Nivea for extremely dry skin. That's like my daily go-to. And I like go through those bottles like it's candy. It's very quickly. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So the second question is, how does your condition affect your family life?
I personally don't see it to affect my family life too much. Really, the most biggest difference is that every once in a while, I just have to put on lotion before bed because it gets itchy or a bit painful. Some other people think that it like uh, affects my life and our life together a lot, but since I've lived with it my entire life, I haven't known anything different. So feel that it isn't too different, and I'm pretty sure it isn't, but mm,
Yeah, similar for me. My parents have always just been like, it's winter time. You have to make sure you moisturize as much as you possible. Their skin's looking extremely dry. So for me, it's not that it's really affecting my day to day, but ichthyosis is a very complicated spectrum that has a wide variety and severities of that it can manifest. Some people have it like Peyton and I, where it's maybe a mild or moderate type of disease course, versus some people, it can affect their daily regimens, daily routines. Their parents and family and support staff have to be very involved with their treatment and care just to uh, um, go through the day without having extreme itchiness, dryness, and redness. So for us, it's been we've been relatively, I would say, lucky in that our parents have been very, very supportive in helping us manage the disease whenever we need extra support.
I think that's always really important. So the next question is, how does your condition affect your school life, education, or work?
Yeah, Peyton, since you're still in like a middle school, I guess now, maybe you want to start this one.
basically, my school life has, as I've said before, I personally don't think it affected very much because really just every once in a while I'm just like, oh, a little itch. Okay. And then I continue doing my schoolwork and it doesn't really mind me that much other than gym, which I don't like because, yeah, because I don't sweat. Like, I personally feel like that I don't sweat enough to cool down at all, but I sweat just the very little amount that makes my skin really itchy and I hate it because it's just really itchy. And then immediately after that, it's always one of the worst classes that I don't like. So, yeah.
Yeah, similar for me. So in elementary school and middle school, we didn't have much of a problem with doing gym class. But starting in high school, everybody starts going through puberty. And so they recommend that the girls and boys start going to locker rooms and changing clothes and everything. And that's where I first started getting the questions from my peers. They would be like, hey, your skin's like very ashy. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's happening to your skin? And I got teased a few times. People would call me like lizard skin, and that was a nickname I kind of had to bear the burden of a few times in high school. And it got a little bit of a it kind of hurt my feelings at first, but it was kind of something I just like came to terms with and explained to them. No, it's something I was born with, and something I just manage with like extra moisturizing whenever I can. But yeah, I'm in a similar situation as Peyton. I feel like for me, most of my sweat is like on my back, where my ichthyosis is a little bit less present, and so when I tend to sweat, it's very, very dry. Even after like I'll do like a mile run, my legs will be still very, very dry after that. And for me, it's not that I overheat. Like some people who have ichthyosis do have that symptom, and they particularly are very um, sure that they want to avoid the gym in hot weather for this reason. For me, it's more of uh, I tend to overheat maybe a little bit more than my peers, I feel.
So when you say that it's less prominent in your back, does that mean it's not your condition isn't all over your body? There's like parts that are worse or better?
For sure. So for me, it's more of my extensor surfaces, so like the backs of my arms, my abdomen area, and most prominent on my legs. What were you for Peyton for you?
Yeah, for me, it's very similar. It's almost everywhere. It is everywhere on my body except for my face. And yeah, is Aditya brought up with the bullying thing. I have been pretty fortunate, and luckily nobody has bullied me for the skin condition, and I've never really been bullied before ever, and I'm pretty lucky. I'm pretty sure that
Very
I've
fortunate.
gone through that. Yeah, um, because if one of my parents' favorite thing about me is that if somebody doesn't like me, then I just don't care that they don't like me, and I just don't like them, and then I go about my business, and I just don't continue trying to get them more mad or anything. I just try to ignore them. But yeah, biggest issue of on my body, the ichthyosis is on my scalp, and it's been pretty hard to moisturize it because hair and it just kind of gets in the way and it's a bit difficult. But yeah,
Does that also make it harder for you to dye your hair too?
not really.
Fair enough. Do you need to bleach it?
Yeah, you do in fact need to bleach it and then put in coloring.
I
I
actually had blue hair for a time too.
I wasn't sure what your natural hair color was, so I wasn't sure if it was light enough or dark enough that you needed to bleach it, because I normally need to bleach mine as well since I have naturally black hair.
I was going to make a comment actually. So regarding the bullying aspect of growing up with ichthyosis and everything, it just kind of dawned on me that I guess you can say that people with ichthyosis kind of have to have a thick skin, which is like a very good pun because that's kind of like the nature of the disease. But we tend to, I think, find solace that there are other people also with this condition. So Peyton and I, we actually met for the first time at like the first, which is the Foundations of Ichthyosis and Related Skin Types conference. And that was probably the first time in my life that I really got to have a conversation with other people that had ichthyosis of different types and etiologies. And that was really nice to see what type of life hacks people were doing. And we would have an opportunity to share what worked for us, what didn't work for us with other people who were also at like different stages in their lives.
I think it's always quite important to have some sort of community that has some sort of relation to what you're going through, because it does make you feel a little bit less alone.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question is, how does your condition affect your social life and friendships?
Peyton, do you want to start this one?
Sure. Really, it as I said before, I don't believe it affected me as a whole very much. But I am part of an activity known as Boy Scouts, and there's plenty of people in there, and I just don't feel like it has affected my social life very much because I still have plenty of friends. I talk to people fine. I'm a pretty talkative person apparently, but I don't think it has affected my social life very much because it's not really a mental condition. So
Mm-hmm. I think for me as well, I think that once I came to terms with it after high school and into like college, my college years, it was just kind of something I like carried closely to my heart kind of thing. And if it came up in conversation, I would bring it up, but it was never something that I let dictate the way I would carry myself in conversations or with my friends or other colleagues.
That makes sense. So the next question is, how has your condition affected your hobbies then and now? Have you had to stop or change how you did things you like doing?
So for me, I can start with that. So like winters are pretty difficult for most ichthyosis patients, I would say. I mean, summers too, because the heat intolerance can be pretty severe for some people. But in the winter time, just a little bit of scratching on unmoisturized skin can cause fissures in the skin that can actually lead to bleeding. And so it is especially important if we go to like family retreats and vacations to colder areas, like if we wanted to go skiing and everything, to make sure you pack all the essentials to make sure that you're not going to be in misery when you're at the what you're supposed to be enjoying. So for me, really nice tropical climate weather and everything. Whenever you go to vacations, it's always great to be able to have the body be a little bit more moisturized on its own just from the humidity aspect of that. But when we go to like drier climate areas, it's especially important that we carry what we need that we use on our daily basis. And it's especially difficult, especially when you try to fly, because you can only carry so much ointments and lotions and creams without getting flied by the TSA agents.
Hmm.
so as I brought up a little bit before for hobbies, I am also in the Boy Scouts, meaning that I do a lot of hiking and camping and a lot of active activities, which I'm not enjoyed very much. I like the camping. I don't like the hiking. Um, I just don't like the hiking aspect because, as you know, I can't sweat, so it's a bit difficult with all the heat. And I'm also not a very extremely active person, so I'm also just not very good at it. Uh, Other hobbies, I really just don't. I don't really do many other hobbies than Boy Scouts in school.
Okay, so the next question is, what could people do to help make your daily life easier?
I think for me, it's always been a kind of a like a one-man army type of battle. Um, it's kind of something that we have to keep in the back of our minds at all times. Like, oh, am I specially drive this morning? I'm going to spend like 20 more minutes extra to make sure that I'm prepared for the day. It's never been something that I feel like I needed more help from other people that weren't my immediate family members. Um, so I'm not sure if there would be anything that I would particularly ask. I think what I hope for is that more people are aware of ichthyosis and would be more, if they have questions, for example, upfront, that they have questions, and mindful that we are people too. We also have our own battles and hurdles that we have to overcome just as they do. Uh, and prefer that people would be more accepting of people that have various severities of ichthyosis. And if they do need help or assistance with certain things, or to be excused from certain activities just because of their condition, it should not be treated any differently than another chronic illness, I think.
Similar to Aditya, I don't really have many asks. Personally, I don't really have any because if with my friends and other people, I've been very fortunate and it hasn't really been brought up much for bad things. Um, it hasn't been very important for like bullying or anything, and if it does come up in conversation, my friends are just like, "Oh, why do you have like scales on your body?" I'm like, "Oh, I have ichthyosis. It's a skin condition. I get itchy every once in a while." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Anyways, and then it just goes on. So it hasn't really been much of a topic of conversation much. So I don't really have any asks or many things that people can really do. But I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you both for sharing that. What are some future goals you have, and what obstacles do you face with trying to meet these due to your condition?
So future goals for me, like, so right now my wife and I are both in medical school and we plan to do a residency. I'm very interested in pursuing a career in pathology, and I have a particular interest in immunology and would like to see myself later on in life helping further clinical trials in immunotherapy to help people with chronic conditions similar to ichthyosis and other related conditions that have an immunological component to their disease. I think that that's something that I've had a personal calling growing up with ichthyosis, as well as through my education in medical school and my exposure to the world of immunology through my PhD work. I think that uh, some battles I'm going to have moving forward is kind of juggling a lot of stuff with like clinical responsibilities, research responsibilities, my own personal responsibilities. But I don't think that ichthyosis is going to be something that is going to stop me from reaching any of my goals. I think that I've come to terms with it, and I've been able to kind of use ichthyosis as kind of maybe like a inspiration for other people who are wanting to go into pursue a STEM career, for example. And I think that what I like to tell people when I went to this first conference is that they should not let ichthyosis put any type of hold or grip on what they want to do with their lives or pursue their dreams.
So would you say that rather than an obstacle, it was actually more of a driving force to kind of make almost make you go onto this path of like going into medicine? Would you say that instead?
I would definitely say that. I would definitely say that for me, I was always really interested in science, but now that I have a path forward with immunology and potentially a way to relate to people who are going to go into clinical trials, having been in one myself and Peyton as well, I think that we will have a very unique perspective to be able to share with patients as well and other members of the ichthyosis and other condition community, chronic conditions.
What about you, Peyton?
For me, it's probably very different because I am still young. I'm still a child, and I have a job, and I don't have to, and I haven't been to college yet. But for me, I don't really have many goals that I think ichthyosis would be an obstacle or prevent me, because really, apparently, somehow I'm a smart kid, and so my education is going on fine, and really all my only goals are to just be a bit more of an active, stronger person because I lose to arm wrestles with toddlers because I'm very weak. That is not that is not a joke. I'm incredibly weak, and I would like to try to change that. And because, like exercise and working out, they makes you sweat, and I can't sweat, so I'm just gonna overheat. But it's just a small obstacle. It's not really gonna prevent anything. But as said, it's probably very different than your life, Aditya, because I'm still young and I don't have many responsibilities at the time. But yeah, that's about it.
Do you have an idea maybe what you would like to do after school, or have you not thought that far yet?
I haven't really thought too far into it. As of now, I want to own a restaurant when I'm older, which I know is a very difficult job. But mm,
What kind
pro-
of food would it be?
uh, American, Mexican, I don't really know. A mix of a couple of things, most likely.
Fair
Do you
enough.
cook right now? Okay,
What?
do you have any favorite foods you like to cook right now?
Oh, I can't really cook many things as of now, but I kind of learned how to cook meatloaf because one time I cooked it with my mother. Good food, and my favorite food is taco bake. Basically, imagine a bunch of tacos but sprawled out and cooked, and it's really good.
Ooh,
That sounds great. Thank you. So lastly, we always ask our guests, do you have any advice for someone watching who has your condition, or advice for any other young person living with a rare disease?
for sure. So I think I can start with this one. So I think my advice for people living with ichthyosis is to know that they are not alone. I for sure thought I was alone. For X-linked specifically, the incidence of those that have the condition in the world is about 1 in 6,000 males. And because it's on the X chromosome, it is very rare for women to have it because then they would need both parents to, one has to have the condition and one has to also be a carrier. And so it's very rare for women to have specifically X-linked ichthyosis. And for other types of ichthyoses that are not on the X chromosome, the incidence is even more rare. So they're more infrequent in the world, and people are more likely to feel that they're battling this on their own. And what advice I'd like to give them is for sure to not give up hope, because there's a lot of research out there and a lot of interested clinicians and scientists that are willing to dedicate their lives and their careers to helping find cures, treatments, or ameliorative uh, tre- uh, what's it called? Strategies for people living with ichthyosis to be able to find more comfort into their daily day-to-day living. And so I would think that I would encourage people that have ichthyosis to pursue their life as they see fit, uh, challenge themselves every single day, and to make sure that they are the best type of person that they want to be, and not let the condition define them, for sure.
That's some great advice. Thank you. What about you, Peyton?
As Aditya said, many people find it very helpful to remember that there is a community out there. You're not alone. There's many people who are there who know what you are going through and can help you with what you're doing. And just remember that you are not the only person in the world facing this. I'm weird, however, and I don't find much comfort in that. Just remember I'm weird. But I like to try and remember that I still have all the tools necessary to it help me, and I can't sweat, and I am bad at activities things, and I'm biologically bad at hiking, and yet look at me, I'm still in Boy Scouts hiking all the time, and while yes, it is a struggle, I can still persist and do those things. It's a bit harder that for me than other people, but we can still do these kind of things. And I just like to remember that just because I have this, I can still do things that other people can do.
That's great. Thank you so much. So that is the end of all the questions. So thank you everyone for watching, and for Peyton and Aditya for joining us today. It's been great learning about X-linked ichthyosis and how it affects you in your daily lives. If you want to get involved with Rare Youth Revolution through one of our Rare Talks, get in touch with us through our website or social media channels, which will be linked at the end of this video. Bye for now. Bye. Sorry, let me just start that again.
Yep.
Have to face when trying to meet these, oh, sorry, I said that wrong. So the next question is, what are some, oh, I'll just wait.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Stupid.
That's okay. Are you all right though?
Yeah, no, my dogs are just being stupid.